to digital transformation. We are an independent, gender-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like Generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like Generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100 plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100 plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500 plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100 plus authorized training partners and 50 plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000 plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from. We'll be starting a session now. Please allow me to share my screen. Here we go. I hope my screen is visible to you all. And thank you everyone for joining today's session. And a warm welcome to you all to Global Skill Development Council's GSDC, a certified learning, driving efficiency and innovation in manufacturing with generative AI, with a theme that is drive smart production and operational efficiency with AI solution. My name is Preeta. I am going to be your host for this session. If you need any assistance during the session, feel free to reach out to me over the chat box and I'll take care of it. And this is amazing experience that I had hosting this entire webinar series. Today is the last session of this webinar series, which is started from 13th October 2025 and with the same time slot, that is 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Singapore time. We had this amazing panel of speaker aligned for this series, and it was amazing sessions we had earlier. So today we'll be having a last session of this webinar series, and for that we'll be having Amar Chera with us. So he'll be taking us through the topic that is AI powered quality control and defect detection. So before he could start with his session, I would like to introduce our hosting organization GSDC. We known as Global Skill Development Council. We are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral, and we are globally recognized certification body. We're accredited by ANSI and APICB. We do have 100 plus certification portfolio with us, and we have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide. We have 500 SMEs. Those are subject matter expert, industry experts. They're affiliates from top universities. Also, they work with us closely to design our deliverables, and we are associated with 1,000 multinational corporates and 500 Fortune companies and 50 plus universities across the globe. And I'm very proud to inform you all that we do have 100 plus authorized training partner across the globe. We have partner in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So I would love to thank you, those who have joined us through our training partner channel. In case if you're looking for any of the training program for yourself, feel free to reach out to our training partner to have an inquiry about it. I'll share all the links in the chat box shortly. A special thanks to our official media partner, World Press Hub, for covering all our events and press releases. As I mentioned earlier in my previous slide, that we do have 100 plus certification portfolio. So our current certification portfolio includes certification on emerging technologies, agile and DevOps, quality compliance, learning and development, digital transformation, and so on. So, in case if you are looking for any of this certification in order to upskill yourself, you can definitely reach out to a learning advisor to get more information, or you can check the website www.gsdcouncil.org to check all the information and all the offerings that GSDC has for all of you. So, what all benefits you will be getting with this certifications? You will become GSDC's member for a lifelong, and with that, you will be getting certificate upgrade, and you will be having free access to all our events, workshop, boot camps, and guess what? You will be having free access to all our exclusive learning program that we have, and with that, you will be getting implementation resources, speaker invites, and newsletter. So check our certifications program and every detail about it. I'll share all the links along with the website link in the chat box. So, without any further delay, I would love to tell you all more about Amar. So, Amar is a machine learning engineer at GetReal Security, specializing in designing and deploying large scale computer vision system for manufacturing. With over a decade of experience, he has collaborated with organizations such as Novelis, BMW, and Sumitomo Corporation to implement intelligent visual QA solution that improve production efficiency. Amar also leads the Atlanta chapter of AI Camp, a community of 5,000 plus AI enthusiasts and mentor professionals aspiring to build impactful career in artificial intelligence. We're very grateful to have you, Amar, with us today for the session. You can have the hander of the mic now. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for introducing me and talking about GSDC. It obviously seems like pretty cool organization to be part of. Let me start by sharing my screen and we can talk about some of the things that I have in here. Let me know if you guys can't see the screen, but I'm assuming most of you can. Um, you'll notice the first thing I did in there was change the AI part to ML. Um, I've been in the field like pre-cheat chat GPT era. Even though all the rage right now, everything comes under the hood of AI. I don't really feel AI is the correct term to use because machine learning is as powerful as anything else. And most of the times, what we will end up doing, or at least learn about in this presentation, is going to be about how we are enabling machines to learn rather than creating artificial intelligence. So that QR code there would just take you to my LinkedIn page. I have gotten enough introduction, so I don't need to spend too much time on this slide with all of you guys. Um, but in general, being in the AI space for quite a bit.
Amar, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but
Mhm.
we can see the blank screen. We cannot see your actually your screen. Can you just reshare it again?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Uh, How about now?
Perfect. Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that QR code would take you to my LinkedIn page, as I was saying, and essentially, just don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to set the tone for this presentation. I'm one of those people who likes to have more interactive public sessions rather than just like me presenting something because there's only hardly so much I can put together on a slide. Um, so given the format of this, I'm going to try to finish as soon as I can with my presentation so we can spend more time on the question and answer session and I can answer any specific questions that anybody has. One of the quotes that one of my manager at Novelis told me is like, no matter what the question is, the answer to everything in machine learning is always it depends. And it depends on the business context, depends on the use case that you're trying to solve, and a million other things. But like anything else, it's about making decisions and picking what is right for you most of the time. The agenda for today is we'll just start very briefly talking about the need for automated QA. Most of you might already know if you're in the manufacturing area. If not, this will be a little bit insightful for you. We'll go on for like a case for like why vision is really important in manufacturing. We'll go through some real world challenges that come when you're talking about like QA and defect detection. Um, and then we'll spend a little bit time about how do we operationalize these vision systems and talk about some open source tools and resources that are out there. I wanted to do a live demo end to end, which unfortunately I couldn't get to, but I'll show you whatever I have in terms of like what some open source models are out there and how we can um, integrate that when we think about uh, implementing some of these technologies. So need for automated QA for most of the people who are in the manufacturing, we it's goes without saying it's a big industry. A lot of time is spent on manual QA. It's costly. You need specialized people for certain roles to be able to do that. There's always human fatigue that comes in, ongoing training that's needed. 40% iteration rate in the industry, and a lot of those. I put the links in there if you want to go and read more about that. But essentially, it's projected to be a huge industry for a big reason because it's needed. Not a lot of people want to be in the domain where they are just doing manual QA day in and day out. So it's a really important one. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide again. It's too verbose, but essentially it just echoes some of the points that I made that it's really important that we automate some of these QA and defect detection techniques so that not one single person on the assembly line or a fleet of people on the assembly line have to sit and keep looking at what is happening. So the case for vision, right? Like why vision? One of the biggest reasons is because it's quite intuitive. Even as human beings, when you think about being on the assembly line, what you usually do is look at what is being produced, look for like things like surface detect, look for any aberrations on top of it. If you have the final finished assembled product, you'd be looking for things like, if the quality of that is correct, if it is operational, things like that. And vision is a big part of how we perceive our world, including in manufacturing. But what happens when you talk about computer vision is we can extend it beyond that, right? Like what the computers can look at in terms of vision is not just like images like we do from a human standpoint, but it can also look at thermal imaging. It can also look at X-ray. It can also look at spectral vision. There's a technology called line camera where you can look at like really small defects that come in. So there are multiple things that a computer vision technology can do that humans would not be able to do. And that's where I think it's really important to talk about that in the manufacturing realm. So what are some of the most common vision models out there, right? Usually, even as human beings, when we don't actively think about it, but like when we see something on the assembly line and we have to identify what is being produced, you'd have to first identify what it is, right? And that's nothing but image classification, where you're trying to see if a bottle, what is a cap, what is a cup, what is a cube, etc. Next is object detection. Where in your peripheral vision are those things placed? Semantic segmentation is you're just trying to analyze the boundaries of all of that, and then instant segmentation is nothing but for each of those objects, um, what the boundaries of that object are. So even when you're not actively thinking about it, you're doing all of these things in your back of your mind. And that's exactly what we want to replicate with the computer vision systems that we think and talk about. There are two really popular architectures that are out there. One of that is CNN, which is convolution neural networks, which has been in the industry for quite some time. And all the rave of generative AI that you see these days has come from another architecture called vision transformers. Vision transformers are amazingly good at learning like a lot of global features. but they are also pretty difficult to run at scale on a very small architecture or a very small footprint, which we'll be looking at a little bit as we go further. But both of them have their use cases, but those are the two industry leading standards when it comes to machine vision. Uh, okay, interesting. Okay, cool. So most common use case in manufacturing, as I was saying, is two things, right? Like you'd always want to find the bounding box around the object that you're trying to inspect. Uh, what I mean by that is object detection is essentially just a AI model trying to find the object in an image given to it. And the object that you're trying to find is the object that you actually care about or want to do QA on top of. And it'll be always followed by something like a segmentation where you're trying to find what the boundaries of that object that you care about are. So, what kind of projects can be done by having technologies like this, right? We can do a lot of different things out there. Some of them are listed in there. Um, it the common things that I've worked on so far is like how do you measure certain things in a given image, whether it is within tolerance or not. How do you identify surface defects, whether you have scratches, blemishes, any of that. How do you ensure that if something had to go on, like let's say if you're assembling a car and the logo of your car has to be present on the car, right? Whether the logo is put or not, because that has real world impacts, and those impacts can, cost of those impacts is not just like um, purely in terms of what the product that you're going to send out, but there is other cost of it like brand quality, the way people perceive your brand. Let's say if you're a company like BMW, it's insane if you send a car without a logo in there, because a lot of that value of the car is also associated with being able to identify that it's a BMW. Yeah, so what are some of the real world challenges, right? Like I don't, again, like I thought the format could be more interactive, but unfortunately, because everybody is on mute, this slide would be mute, but like just wanted to understand, just put it in the chat and we can talk about it later. How many of you have actually taken like a vision system into production, right? Um, so building AI systems in manufacturing is as much about people as it about the AI itself. What I mean by that, right? A lot of the times when you think about a manufacturing floor or a facility or any of that, the idea of designing a system and selling it across in within the internal buyers of the company who are going to sponsor this project, as well as external partners, is almost 80% of the job, right? Like, unless and until you do not have internal and external buy-ins, nobody is actually going to pour money into the project. So establishing the business value of what you're trying to create is a really important and the very first hurdle that you'll have to pass through before even you get into like the building part of it or vision development part of it. Once you pass that hurdle, right, like there are some inherent other challenges. The way I've formatted it, we can talk about what it is and then some of the ways that we can potentially solve it. And then I would love for people to ask me specific questions about this, but like I said, right, there's only so much you can put on a slide. Sparse data being one of the topmost. Again, it goes back to the people point a little bit. It's a catch-22. If you don't have a project, you don't have the data for that. And if you don't have the data, you can't actually train anything on that data. Again, like from a timeline of, like, let's say you got a buy-in for this project and you start with putting a camera in there just to capture a bunch of images to use that as the training part of it, right? There's always a timeline associated with the kind of project that you want to do. And the momentum of that is very important because, like, if you start a project and then you say, I need a month worth of time just to, like, collect the data that I need to train the model, it's going to fizzle out and die because people will stop um, taking interest into that after a while. So what are some of the ways we can solve it, right? Like there are a ton of open source data sets that are out there that can be relevant to your use case. One would be that that's the first place I go and look at a lot of times. Um, we can like it's paramount that we always use like pre-trained models. What I mean by that is basically these are models trained on millions and billions of images sometimes, depending on which model we're talking about. Um, and it has an inherent understanding of what certain objects look like. If we're talking about CNN, it's basically it knows what the boundaries of an object are, what an edge is, what are some of the inherent shapes that are in there, things like that. And that cuts down the need for your data by a lot. Um, so, and the last part is like in today's world, which a lot of the theme of the events that we've had this week was about generative AI. You can also generate images, and that is one way you can generate more data, if possible for your use case. And again, like a lot of these things are very use case dependent, so would love to understand what people are trying to solve in the Q&A session. Other real world challenge would be different environments when it comes to manufacturing facility. A lot of the times the machines are so expensive that some of the outdated ones would be 20 years old and you'd have the same machine doing something else, which is 2 years old, and the way they operate is like very very different. There could be different settings, like what the lighting conditions are, what the background of the conveyor belt that things are going on are, and all of that affects your models. Um, so it's really important to think about those aspects when you're thinking about modeling some of the vision QA systems. Uh, some of the ways we can solve it is obviously like in the processing of the image, if you can take away the different variables, that's amazing. What I mean by that is if you can like crop the background and always make it black so that the background does not impact your vision models, you can only focus on the object of concern, meaning that like if you do object detection, if you're trying to find anything on a tire, you just stick with the tire and talk about the tire itself and not anything else. Um, sorry. If that's not possible, you can think about like, at least collecting data from all those different areas or domains so that all those different settings is seen by the model. So it's a little bit robust and agnostic to a lot of those different scenarios. Data augmentation is again like a great technique. What I mean by data augmentation is basically in computer vision processing pipelines, what you can do is create false flares, create noise, and anything else that you think that you would see in a real world as part of your augmentation pipeline. So you take the same image, you put a false flare on it, you take the same image, you change the brightness colors around a little bit, and that would create different scenarios that you expect to see in the real world, but you can't collect data for all of it. Data labeling is another major challenge when it comes to real world, because let's say you collected like 50,000 images, 100,000 images. How do you now think about labeling them, right? Like a lot of times, at least in the initial years, it was a lot of manual labeling. But in the live demo, I'll show you there are some tools and techniques that we can use to, generate these labels automatically. Not for everything, but again, at the same time, it's really important these labels be present, because if you're training an architecture like CNN, that label essentially tells the model what a building would look like in the labels that you're seeing here, what a person looks like, what a bicycle looks like. And that's very important for the model to know when you're actually going to run it in production. Um, and some of these are paid services, some of these are like open source tools out there, and you can just download it and run them. And I'll show you both. What latency and throughput is again like a very key factor, because some of the manufacturing lines are like imagine a Coke bottling plant, right? Like they do like thousands of bottlings in a given second sometimes. And in those plans, latency is paramount, right? Like if you have a signal from your AI model that's going to go back into the system to make a decision, and if your AI model cannot be fast enough to give that decision to the system, that basically means your production speed is going to go down, and that's not good. Um, you know, it's all high stakes at that point. Some of the ways we can solve for it is use smaller models, smarter engineering. What I mean by that is there are various ways of packaging these models so that they can run on different architectural environments, like ARM CPUs, GPUs, whatever you have access to and available. And based off of that, you can actually think about designing a process which is suitable for your use case that you're trying to solve. Accelerated hardware is always an option, but the cost of that, again, is something that might need to be justified because GPUs are expensive. Here are some other, I'm not going to go down the list and read through all of them, but again, like wanted to stress and point out, people is always a big factor. So you also need to ensure when you're implementing some of these techniques is the people who are doing the manual QA labor right now. You speak with them and you talk to them and make them understand that it is going to make their life better. And it is not essentially to replace whatever they are doing, but it is to upgrade them from just be able to stare at a bunch of product being produced to actually update them and move them to better areas where they can contribute more and have a growth in their career. So, how do we get from a promising model to a reliable production system, right? Like that's a very challenging question to have. Um, one of the I only have a diagram for a typical pipeline, what it looks like on the next slide here, and I'm going to pull that up. But again, this goes back to my point of like a lot of the times these things are super specific to the use case and the business you are in. That is why I'd love to learn from you guys as to an example of what you're trying to do, and we can talk about the specifics then. But essentially, if you look at this, what on any production floor would happen is you'd have like an assembly line or a manufacturing line. What you need for a vision system to even exist in the first place is a camera because you can't see anything if you don't have a camera, and the camera would have a field of vision, right? So any system that you're trying to build, the first thing it needs to learn about is when the object that you care about is in the field of vision, and that's something that we call a trigger, right? That trigger basically tells the camera that, okay, this thing that I care about is in the field of vision. Take a picture of it, store this picture, process this picture, and send it to my AI algorithm or the machine learning model that I built. The machine learning model, let's say you're trying to find the dimensions of that box. It finds the dimensions of the box. It gives that reply back to the PLC. PLC is nothing but a programmable logic controller. Most industries, wherever you have a manufacturing line, would have a PLC. Um, that sends back that information to the PLC, and based on what is defined parameter range for the product that you're trying to manufacture, the PLC would make a decision whether, okay, it fits within the tolerance limits of what I want it to be. If it doesn't, then it could be sent to a separate line. A human could be notified. Whatever your procedure is from business perspective on your assembly line could be the next step that comes from it. Um, but like I want to stress, like building the model is, as you can see, just a small piece of the puzzle, but a lot of different components go into it in terms of being able to integrate these systems together, and that's where a lot of the challenges and the things we talk about come in. So how would you enable a flow like that, right? Like think about the constraints you have, and that will best guide the decisions more than anything else. Some of the examples I put in is basically like internet in the plant is a problem, and that's mostly always the case in my experience. it's really difficult to get a reliable Wi-Fi connection when you have a bunch of metal um, machinery in there because at the end of the day, it's magnetic waves, and a lot of that is absorbed by the metal, so the connection is always an issue. Um, Different plants have different devices. So Onyx is a very popular format that you can export these models into, ONNX. It's basically an open source format from Microsoft. Most of the big, you know, uh, big platforms like TensorFlow, PyTorch, all of them support that. So any of the platform that you're using to train your models on, or any of these libraries that you're using to train your models on, you can always export that in ONNX. That creates a very small footprint. Um, Hardware is always, a constraint again, because some of the times, because internet is a problem, you can't have it at a centralized server and you have to run it on edge devices. If you have to run it on edge devices, you're pretty limited in the amount of compute that you have. And that's where things like model quantization, hardware specified acceleration comes into the picture. And going back to my initial point that I wanted to stress is the business should and would always drive a lot of these decisions, right? Because it all depends on what you're trying to solve for, what your parameters and constraints are, and how much it costs at the end of the day. Some of the open source tools and tech blogs that really helped me in my journey, I've listed them down here. We don't have to go through each of them. All the links are in there. I'm assuming we'd be sharing this presentation and videos at some point with the audience, so you can go and click through some of them and read through a lot of it. Um, they are really, really good in terms of machine vision, especially in manufacturing. A lot of these open source models, open source data sets can be found on these as well. So let me see if I can you guys see the whole screen? Preetam, can you confirm? Or if people are writing it in the chat, I don't know. Preetam, are you there? Let me see if I can reshare the whole screen. Okay. Hopefully this should be visible. So if I can get this out of my way. So this is something that a homegrown solution that you can also build. Essentially, like let's say you had to label some of the things, right? I can start with something simplistic as I want to identify where the tire is in a given image. There's a model that is running in the backend right now. What it is doing is processing that image and trying to find the bounding box coordinates of where that tire is. Um, and we'll talk a little bit about like what that model is, but essentially you can just label a bunch of images the same way. Once you generate that label, it can just go through each of the image and it can show you what it is and what it's not. Let's say you also wanted to identify where the rim was. So you can add another label in there um, to identify that, and it'll again process the image and try to find where that object is in that given image. So that way you don't have to like, these are just four images for sample, but let's say you had like 4 million images and you had to label all of them. Doing that manually would take you forever and it'll be very expensive. So using models like these can really help out. So essentially what this is running is a tiny version of something called as a grounding dyno. And again, this is on Hugging Face. It's open source. You can download it, run it yourself. But essentially, what it's doing is like give on a given image, if you give it a prompt, and prompt is essentially just telling what object that you're trying to find in the image, with a certain thresholds. And these thresholds are basically telling that okay, if you're if you're confident that the bounding box is this bounding box that or this is the object that you're trying to find more than the percentage set here, only then give me a result. Otherwise, don't give me a result. Similarly, Hugging Face has something called spaces, and in spaces you can find like n number of these models in there, which you can like actually similar to this, just upload a image without doing anything, try to see what the output of the results look like. If it looks good, all of these would have an associated um, a GitHub repo with it where they have actual model code, weight file, all of that. Um, and that is usually followed by segmentation that we were talking about. And segment anything from Meta AI is one of the leading models when it comes to this, right? Like segmentation usually is a very expensive task to run and build and train a model on. So what this does for you, right? Like it's a dual purpose model which can take in a prompt in terms of text, bounding boxes, as well as just single XY coordinate points, right? Essentially, what it's doing is as hover around a lot of these objects that you see on the screen, it's showing a blue uh, highlight, right? Like let's say I wanted to identify TVs in there. I could basically define something in here in the grounding dyno that would give me object or bounding boxes of that TV. I can use those bounding boxes as, let me see if I can get rid of this. Okay, cool. Bounding boxes as an input to a segment anything model. So essentially, it can then find where those objects are in the image, and then I can just focus on those objects and nothing else. And I think that was it for my presentation. I'd love to hear more from the audience as to what questions they have and talk through some of the other things. But thank you for listening to me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amar, for such an insightful session. I would like to request all the participants, please drop your questions in the chat box so we can start with the Q&A. Dear participants, please drop your questions in the chat box so we can start with the Q&A as we have quite time for question and answer. So drop your questions right away in the chat box.
Usually means two things. Either I did an amazing job and people understood everything I said. It made no
Yes,
sense to anybody
absolutely.
else.
It seems like they understood everything.
Are we going to share these presentations? There are some people asking for the links.
Yes, once we get it, like once we have the approval, certain approvals from the management, and then we'll share it with them.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
cool. And then,
Meanwhile, just allow me 2 minutes. I'll get the questions across the live. I'll ask the team.
yeah, sure.
We got one question from Raj. What,
Mhm.
according to you, is the best tool to extract individuals' images from old group photograph?
I'm assuming what Raj means is like individuals as in people from old group photographs. And if um, that is the question, basically, okay, yes. So there are models out there that you can or facial analysis models that you can use to extract embeddings. Once you have that embedding, essentially for each person's face, you extract that embedding across all the photos, and you can do a similarity score comparison between the person you care about across all the images, and that way you can identify if the person is there in present in those images. Inside Face is a library that is really popular for things like that. it's not completely open source, but I think if you're using it for personal use, it should be okay.
Okay, there's a I think follow-up question from the Raj. He's saying and match them with the recent that are aged for about 30 years.
Uh, I haven't tried it, honestly. Like, I know Google Photos does a good job of combining them all together. So I'm assuming it should work across, even if they are like 30 years apart. I just don't know what a good answer to that is. Sorry.
No worries. Here's another question from Sanjay. How are computer vision devices calibrated so that they detect efficiently?
Uh, it really depends on the use case that you're trying to solve, right? Like there are two parts of the calibration. One is the calibration of the camera itself. So there are like multiple industry grade cameras that you can get from outside. They are pretty inexpensive from a business standpoint. Could range anywhere between like 200 to $300 for the amount of use cases that you're going to solve using that camera. That amount is negligible. Uh, you also get like various lenses and filters, which you can like zoom in and zoom out. It can give you 3x optical zoom, 4x optical zoom. So it really depends on where the placement is. So that's on the side of the cameras, right? And the other factor comes in of actually tuning your model to be able to detect different scenarios. And that's where some of the points that I made come into place. One is data augmentation. You always want to make sure that you capture various different environmental settings that you're actually going to see in production. And at the same time, you try and see if you can gather that data, not just from an augmentation standpoint, but actual data, because nothing beats actual data. Like you can only simulate so much, but actual data is really the thing that can guide a lot of these decisions. So you don't have to solve again everything at day one. It's always an ongoing process. That's why it's called machine learning.
Great. Thank you so much, Amar, for answering that one. There's another question from Sai. What are the best content factory strategy can we use with respect to calibrating?
I am not sure exactly what that question means.
I'll read it
If it,
again.
hmm?
What are the best content factory strategy can we use with respect to calibrating?
Yeah, I mean, I understood the question. Like, I heard what you said, but like, I'm not 100% sure what calibration is Sai talking about. But like, let's say, for example, he's talking about, illumination, brightness, all of that. A lot of these camera companies have a software that comes with the camera itself, where you can set these things up. And the range of that is like pretty broad because these are again industry level cameras. So these vision devices can go from like let's say illumination can go from 0 to 16,000 all the way. So depending on what light settings you have, you might have to play around with it a little bit to come to a conclusion what works for your use case.
Wonderful.
I
Thank
hope
you
that
so
answers
much.
it.
Yes, absolutely. I believe so. Moving forward to the next question that we have got it from Sanjay again. Is there a
Mhm.
human in the loop when using computer vision devices?
Absolutely. And again, a lot of these things goes back to my statement about business being the driver of a lot of these forces, right? Like, what is the end result of a wrong manufactured product going out there? And what cost is associated with it would drive a lot of these decisions. And that's where, if I can go back to the slide that I had, that PLC, a lot of that decision making happens at the PLC level, where the PLC can tell a human being, notify them. It can take an automated decision. It can do whatever you want at the end of it. But at a business level, that decision should come by talking to the people who are associated with that results. So
Great. Thank you so much, Amar. There's another question from Raj again. At a high level, what are some days to day use cases you do as a part of your regular work, and align that to the presentation? What are some success point and challenges you undergo, and the steps you go through to overcome them?
Absolutely, excellent question. My current role is a little bit different. I'm no longer in the manufacturing industry. As of whenever I moved to Get Real, it's in the cybersecurity field. But talking about my manufacturing days, a lot of my time would be spent on designing the systems, meaning that whenever I have data sets that I gather, how do I like ML ops is the field that all of that comes under. What it essentially is like keeping track of the data lineage, meaning that where those data sets came from, where am I storing them, what data sets were used to train what version of the model, how would I update a version of the model, what data sets were reserved for evaluations because you don't want to keep the same data set to train as well as evaluate the model in, because it basically would like bias your results at that point. A lot of the challenges were also ensuring that I understand, because I was in the service industry, meaning that we implemented a lot of these for our clients. It was understanding what the business requirement is from a client standpoint. Um, it was also about like optimizing these models to run on various different hardwares, quantization, the things that I was talking about. Um, and the second part of your question was, I think, the key challenges that I undergo and some of the steps I took to overcome them, right? Like the key challenges is again making sure that I design a system that is essentially useful for the business at the end of the day. Because if they don't implement it, it's a waste of money. We lose business. We don't want to be in that position. So it's understanding what they want. Um, the way to overcome that again would be just thinking through a lot of what the end use case is and how the solution that I design would best fit that use case at that point.
Greatly answered. Thank you so much, Amar. Moving forward to the next question, we have got it from Khalid. How good is the camera application? It can be used to detect physical dimension only, or the camera able to detect based on the labels?
Excellent question again, Khalid. So the dimension detection, one key point that I left out of there, and again, thank you for asking this. I should have added it in the presentation. Is you need to have like a known dimension object in the image that you can reference it against, because the way you're doing these calculations is based off of number of pixels it takes. Um, so the higher the resolution of your image, the better the final result of that calculation is going to be. So let's say there is a ruler which says that this is 6 inches. You compare that 6 inches with the number of pixels it took to cover that 6 inches, and then you project that again to the boundaries of the object that you're trying to identify the dimensions on. So that's where I say resolution matters a lot, because let's say you have a HD resolution, which is I think 120 by 720 pixels, or 1200 by 720 pixels. Compare that to a 420 by 240 pixel image. The amount of distance per pixel would affect the way you calculate your end dimension. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Amar. There's a, message for you from Sanjay. Amar, thanks for responding to my question and very insightful presentation. Thank you very much, Sanjay, for wonderful questions also. So we'll be
Sure.
taking the last two, three questions. I've got
Mhm,
some live questions. We'll cover that and then we'll proceed with the
mhm.
further session. So the question is from Liam. How do you approach model drift or degradation over time, especially in dynamic production environment?
Again, excellent question. A lot of the times, what we do is it again goes back into the MLOps umbrella a little bit. Is you keep monitoring the score in your system of And the score is essentially just a confidence level that the model has in detecting something, right? Let's say you're doing an object detection for a tire. What would happen at that point is you have a score of 99%. You'd keep monitoring that with time. Let's say all of a sudden, a year from now in your system, you start seeing all that score goes to 75 continuously. At that point, you essentially start looking at what data is coming in. And that's an extreme case, right? Like you'd not want to wait for an entire year to be able to see that. Depending on how much your production line changes, I would say a month and a half was usually a good time period for us to look at. Within that time period, we'd look at like, a time series of what the scores looked like and the kind of products that went through, right? A lot of the times, you can keep it like daily basis, but I don't think in a manufacturing line on a daily basis you'd have like a new production um, equipment that's being manufactured in there. Like in case of tires, you'd not have a new SKU come in all of a sudden one day. It usually takes like months and months for that to come in, and your model drift happens during those periods of time. So keeping track of those numbers and monitoring those numbers and having like alerts and signals that can tell you that there is something fishy happening um, can be an amazing signal for you to go to the next point.
Great. Thank you so much, Amar. Raj is asking a follow-up question. What is the format of the labels need to be in for easy compatible for detection?
Uh, I'm trying to make sure I understand the question properly. Like labels, as in you mean like when you're trying to label the images? Okay, yeah, awesome. So when you're trying to label these images, the format of how you label really depends on the model that you're trying to train, right? Um, Coco, YOLO, all of these are like really what do you say, most famous formats out there and most regularly used. So depending on like what your model needs, you can also store it in a JSON format or a YAML format and keep converting it into whatever format that the training code of your model would need it to be in. Like,
Great. Thank you so much, Amar. There's one question that we have got it from Mini. What skills
Mhm.
or tools should QA engineers start learning today to work effectively alongside AI-based inspection system?
That's an excellent question. So from like I give you my perspective because I've been in the machine learning side of things more than on the plant side of things, right? Um, so from when I look it through my lens, I really feel like whatever the best way to go about this is whatever open source technologies that you can find, um, which fit your use case the best is the ones that you should start with, because it does two things, right? Like one, because you're immediately being able to use this in the work that you're doing on a daily, ongoing basis, so that you can see the results immediately instead of having to like learn a bunch of things and then having to wait to be able to implement anything at that point. Um, so the other part of it would be really depending on like again going back, I keep going back to this business side of things, right? Because there are multiple tools out there that can do the same thing, but the tool that is best for your use case would always be the tool that helps you solve the problem that you have. So if you are a QA engineer and you are on the shop floor and you identify a problem, ChatGPT again is a great resource, or not just ChatGPT, any LLM models out there is a great resource. Perplexity is out there. If you type in what the use case that you're trying to solve, it can identify what are the best open source models out there that can help you to solve some of this. So that's the way I would go about a lot of this.
Great. Thank you so much, Amar, for answering all the questions so far. I would like
Yeah.
to request all the participants, if they have more questions for Amar, please do reach out to him. I've already shared his LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. You'll able to find it there. And yes, before I move forward with the session, we would love to hear final thoughts from you, Amar, for all our participants today.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure talking to you, even though we can't see face to face and not hear your voices. It's still a pleasure to know the curiosity and the questions you guys ask, right? Like, don't let that die. Um, AI, like anything else, is again a tool to help human beings. It's not something that replaces any of us, even though this fear mongering and scare tactics are out there for a lot of these things. I would say don't be scared of it. Learn one thing at a time. You don't have to go all out all at once. But whatever fits the things that you're trying to solve for, start with that. That's a great starting point to see the results immediately and to keep you ongoing always. And feel free to reach out anytime. I'd love to talk about the things that I do with anyone and any questions that you have. I would always love to answer them. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Amar, for sharing such a wonderful thoughts and your details. Again, dear participants, you'll find his LinkedIn profile link in the chat box, so you can reach out to him. I believe he's more than happy. He already mentioned that he would love to help you all with more questions or anything that you want to discuss about the topic. Yeah. So
Mhm.
thank you, everyone, for joining today's session, and thank you very much, Amar, for insightful session again. And we would love to have you again for the more sessions with GSTC. Thank you so much for your time. So yes,
Awesome.
dear participants, no worries. So, dear participants, I do have some quick announcement for all of you. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible to you all, and this is regarding the announcement regarding the certification. Today's certification, we had a session on. Give me a minute, please. Oh, yes. So this is regarding the today's feature certification, certified generative AI in manufacturing. As you all know, this certification which comes along with the lifetime validation, which gives you learning resources where you will be getting a lot of case studies, e-learnings, and book of knowledge. These certifications are lifelong learnings, which gives you learning flexibility. You will be getting chance to connect with our training partner channels, and you'll be having a lot of opportunity to work on the capstone project, that is something real time AI simulation practice. So do grab this opportunity. You can use this promo code, which is AIMF25, which means you'll be getting 25% discount on this. And this is only valid for a certain period of time, which means till this weekend. So grab this opportunity and do sign up yourself. You'll find all the offer details in the chat box along with the link and the promo code. And this is regarding the utility tool. You all must be aware, as I've been announcing this since very long. So this tool, try this tool. This tool is very amazing. It will help you to build your personal brand. It will help you to improve your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skill score. Also, it will help you to build your resume, AI generated resume. So check this tool out. GSDC has introduced this earlier. You can use this promo code August 100 to get an amazing discount, which is 100% off, and this is only for our webinar attendees. So do grab this opportunity and do check this out. Also, I'm very excited to make an announcement regarding the upcoming sessions we'll be having on solving supply chain disruption with generative AI, which is scheduled from 27 to 31st October 2025, with the time slot that is 7:30 a.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Singapore time. So please do join us for our upcoming sessions as well. Also, we do have scheduled this another series on the same dates, that is 27 to 31st October, which will be happening on sustainability challenges in business. So do join us or refer maximum people who are into this profession. It will definitely help them. And also, we are running this AI tool challenge. You all must be aware. We have scheduled this for 100 days now, and we have invited a panel of AI expert who are giving us a live demo session with practical walkthroughs and also the tasks to perform. Right. So please do join us, as this has been very interesting sessions going on in the GSDC. So we are aligning more AI expert. They are giving us live demos on each AI tool that is public publicly available in the market. So do grab this opportunity. Do sign up yourself, register yourself for all the upcoming sessions as well. You'll find all the registration link for all these three webinars in the chat box. If you scroll up, I've already shared it initially. You'll find the registration link, also the WhatsApp community link, where you'll be getting daily update on these sessions. And also, we do have these three winners. Let's congratulate to them, as they have referred maximum people to our webinar series. And we will be definitely getting back to you for the rewards. Congratulations. And thank you so much for referring maximum people to our session. It is something that you are taking a step ahead and becoming a thoughtful leader. Thank you so much. As these three winners will be featured on the GSDC Wall of Fame, you can access our event web page, where you'll be able to see. Also, you can see your name and how many points that you have earned so far. You need to have 50 points to get an rewards to be winner. Also, in case if you want to be speaker for our upcoming events, please feel free to reach out to us, as we'll be having global platform for all of you, like learning capsules, webinar, and the podcast. We would love to connect with you all over social media. Scan this QR, connect with us over LinkedIn. Check our website, that is www.gsdcouncil.org. And also connect with us over the WhatsApp group to get daily update on events and webinars that we have. And please do share your valuable feedback for our sessions on the Trust Pilot. You will find the link in the chat box. And thank you so much for joining all the sessions. Whoever joined all the sessions, thank you very much supporting us throughout the webinar series. I hope to see you all for the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you very much. Until then, please keep learning and take care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much, Amar. Bye, everyone.